Welcome Laduram. Welcome to the conversation on simulated reality. It's our podcast that we run speaking with leaders who work in the space of data-driven technologies, data analytics, data science, AI. Let's start. It's not a sunny day, but it's always nice to be in San Francisco. I really like to come to the city. How has your journey been in San Francisco? What do you like about it? Why did you specifically choose to build your business in this city? And how has your journey been so far?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, and really amazing to chat with you. Heard great thing about you from my team and on from internet as well. So journey been amazing. Been like 7 years in San Francisco. I moved here in 2016. I came from London, so I started a company called Acquire, and in London in 2015, and we were getting quite a bit customer from US. So I was like, okay, let me go and try out from San Francisco, right? So I came here first time, and I love the ecosystems and how the ecosystem built around the software companies like SaaS companies. So I was like, okay, fine. Like I just stayed here. I just went back and sold everything and just come back permanently. 2016. It was hard, but then the city, like I love the city now, but that times was like I was like kind of end up living in really bad area in San Francisco because like that's where you get the cheapest apartment. So I was staying there for like almost 2 years. Could not raise the money early on, but then we started raising the money, and then we progressed and we did a bunch of things.
Yeah. One of the things that I've observed is there's a lot of energy here. Like this city is full of ideas. I think every person wants to start something, and I've always observed that even if they're working for large corporations, even with high paychecks, there is always this desire to start an idea and build it and scale it. What is it about this? Especially the valley and the city, that the San Francisco city, that makes it.
I mean, like that's great cases, to be honest. I think so. When I go back to London and when I go back to the India and when I see like what the difference here, then the difference to the different city is like the ecosystem made around the startups is so much more easier to start something in San Francisco, right? Have ideas. You want to talk to the friend, and friend will be like, "Oh shit, like this is really great. Do you like when you starting? I can join you the same time as well." The courage the people have here,
Yeah.
and then how they're kind of the people they are around, and then they motivate those startup founders is so much higher than the go to London or Paris or like all other city. Like I talked to my friend in London and just like, hey, like you have great ideas, you want to start something. No, I have a bill and I have to do this and I have to do that, and I cannot start something, and I maybe think in 3 years or 4 years or something. That's not here.
Yeah.
They will just go and do it.
Yeah, people work. I have a friend who works in a large corporation, in a retail corporation. I'm sure he gets a good paycheck, but out of a sudden he just started off. He actually has his own startup already, and he decided not to continue as the CEO for the startup. Quit it, joined a big retail corporation. Obviously working in a very, I'm sure a good job, a well-settled job, but then he just quit again today, 2 weeks back, to say that, I'm going to start my own startup, second startup, and then this is serial entrepreneurship, and this, I think it's really fascinating. I have a lot of, I love the energy around here. It's fascinating to see how much they like to explore. It's just that it's a hub for ideas, which is
That's correct,
it's
yeah.
a phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good.
What sparked middleware? The idea for middleware when you started off. What was the thought process behind it?
I'm like, that's amazing questions. So the early thought process was like, so I left my previous company, and then I took some break, and then I was in between, was like investing, like full-time investing, and then I didn't enjoy that part, and I was like, okay, now I need to think something else. Should I go back to my previous company, or should I like start something new? So when I was thinking to start something new, the spark of the idea came from around 2017, 2018. When we were building my previous company, we were looking for like observability product. And what happened at that times was like we were using Kubernetes and cloud natives and microservices, all the latest technology, and then we were looking for observability like monitoring product. There wasn't anyone. There was one company. I'm not going to say name in the public, but there was one company. We just contact them, and then we asked the quotations. And our cloud bill was like $4,000 a month. We were like shady stage company. We went to them and we were like, hey, we want to do monitoring, and this is our cloud, and this is what we get. They give a quotation back for $12,000 for the observability. It's 3 times higher than your actual cloud bill, like actually your AWS bill. And I'm like, holy shit, like, no, we can't afford that. We can't do this. So what I personally did, I just like worked with like 2 other engineers in my team, and we built a small version of observability in my previous company. And then we still use that there. And then we were like, okay, that's so when I was like thinking about the idea, I was like, dude, like we exactly need to do the same thing what we did it there, and then we just build it. So when I started the company, I had like 15 engineers from day one, and we were just building the software for almost 1 year silently. We didn't talk to anyone, no VC, no customer, no nothing, and we were just building it for almost a year. Then we released it.
Yeah, I think that's how all the ideas for startups start, right? Some of the things, some of the problem statements that you are facing when you work for something, and then essentially build on that idea to offer. But at the same time, one of the things that I find it really hard is unless you have a really good network that you have cognizantly built from scratch, it becomes really difficult to kind of build that network, engage with these customers, and then acquire them, and go to that final point where they work with you on a regular basis. What sold your product? What was? Let's talk through probably one of the first sales, right? Because I'm sure that there were many companies who were saying that because cloud observability, ML observability is a market which has been has been people have been working on it for a while. What was that unique selling point that you came up with, the proposition, and how did it work for you? Just walk us through that first sale.
Yeah, sure. So I will say like the first sale was like inbound. I completely heavily focus on inbound. I do have a networks here in Silicon Valley, living here for like 7 years, raised like over 60 million in venture funding. So I like have really decent network. For first customer, when we launched the websites, we were like heavily focused on SEO and content. And then SEO and content is not about our product, it's just to about aware the people. Like awareness is a big thing what we do in this industry. It's like people don't like what you do, like, hey, I personally don't care, but then it's like, hey, can you aware like what's the gap in observability, how you feeling it, how you are different from that the gap. That is just like trigger point for us. So the first customer we got was inbound, and customer came and then sign up. After sign up, he put a credit card details, and I was like, and then the credit card was going through, and I was like, okay, this is the best way to just keep PLG motions, like product led growth. Right now, we completely product led growth. We have no sales team in the company. We have no sales people. We completely have customer success people, customer support people, and we are completely PLG motions. Some of these larger deals that what we have, we just do like our customer success, and I just deal it personally. But then I'm completely heavily focused on PLG motions.
I think that's, I've always wanted to bring this topic up, right? How to leverage, how to build this brand, how to build a media presence so that there is a brand recall value, especially when it comes to technology products in AI and data science. I think it's a very crucial point that you bring, right? You don't need to sell very hard as long as you are interacting with the community in a way that they start relating to the problem statements that you are solving. Right?
That's correct. Yeah.
You just talk about it.
That's correct.
You go to people, you go to stages, you go to conferences, you use the entire internet. That's a good digital platform is good. Start talking about problem statements that are there. Feature on some of these listicles or some of these media companies that are there. And I think that in itself builds a lot of brand value, so that there are queries that are inbound rather than you going out building a sales team starting from scratch. one by one.
That's become expensive. You can build the brand using the sales team. You can have like large amount of the sales team, and then they do the sales and they do it. I personally feel I'm not a brand person. I'm not a media person. Like you probably have a better idea on that. But I personally feel is like you can build the brand in software in dev space or infra space where we are to helping other people. Helping other people is always going to be help you back. So building the communities, and when community needed some kind of help, you organize the events, you just bringing the people, you bringing the other like really good speaker. That's what we do here quite a bit as well. Bring a speaker, they give a speech. So recently we had an event, Postgres founder came and give a speech, and we had like almost like 50, 60 people was here, all was engineers. We did not ask anything to anyone, and then we got like a bunch of sign up after the events. So I feel like in dev and infra space, like that kind of like you can build a brand. So that's easy to build a brand in that way.
Yeah. Now going beyond going beyond the first sale and some of the marketing initiatives that enable sales, customer success is very important as well. We have to walk the talk. It's important to have a good product. What was your thought process in building a good product, right? You had already faced the problem about expensive cloud observability platforms. What was in your mind? What were some of those factors? Was there a framework which you had in mind to ensure that your product will be successful so that it can scale rather than just,
Yeah. So from day one, we knew that like what scale gonna be there, because it's gonna be petabyte of data. One customer will send petabyte of data like maybe in a week. So we knew that that's gonna happen. So we need to build in such a way. So like that's the reason like it took almost 1.5 years for us to build like a baseline of the product. So like we can handle like maybe like 10 petabyte, 20 petabyte data, can send it to our platforms a month, and then we can scale and make sure the platform works. That was the early day. But then when we are building it, there was like lot of things that we find a gap in the market, in the current market, specifically for all the new technology like Kubernetes, microservices, cloud natives, observability. For that part, it was you can solve like because it's produced so much more data, and then once I throw the engineer into like that like a data lake or like in oceans, it's going to be really hard to come out. So how you give like a really great data that what they actually needed? That's what we're using AI to debug for them. It's like we just give all the data to AI. AI figured out like which one is more usable for dev and ops team to look at it. So we train a lot of data and we give them, and that's enabled so many things. That's where we're filling a massive gap. So the pricing difference is not like one of the huge difference for us and like one of the legacy companies. AI is one of the biggest difference that what we making difference here. But that doesn't mean like we're just only AI observability. We do complete observability for every single things like log, metric, trace events, like collecting all the data. And then on the top that we have AI to fine tune it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And once you have the product in place, which I'm sure that your founding team, your core team kind of built it. This was one of the questions that again someone when back in India asked me, how do I start a data science company, right? And that was a very broad question per se, and they said that I want to offer data science services to clients in the US because the market is huge and there is a lot of untapped market. But my question was to them, right? There are so many players right now existing, right? And how do you kind of position yourself? How do you network with these people and convince that you will be a better pick for them? My second thought process was the person was not a data person, data professionals themselves. They were going to hire a data scientist. But when do you hire a data professional, or when do you hire a technologist to build that, right? And in this case, for example, you had already had a product or a technology that you were going to build on, right? But that's my question to you, right? Does the customer come first, or does the scaling of the team come first? When do you go for the first hire or this thing?
So like in a business, customer always come first.
Okay.
But then if you don't have the product, what customer gonna do? So the first, you need to build the team, you need to build the product, and once your product is stable and is just scaling it, then your focus switch from the team to the customers, because like first you need to build the team. Like early, the first day one, you just need to build the amazing team to build an amazing product. Then once you build it, once you live, like let's say you release out your beta version or something, then always the requirement is customer come
Yeah, but
first.
it's a good balance. Right? It's a
Yes,
really
you always
difficult
have to balance, yeah.
Like the person was, do I need to hire 4 data professionals first and then show something? Because if I suddenly get a requirement and then how do I build this? Then I was like, but how are you going to pay those 4 people? The 4 people are not going to come on board
That's good.
just like that. So then there's a chicken and egg problem, which I was
So for that gap, the VCs come. That's called venture capitals. They come and then they were like, hey, we're gonna fund this company is to fill the gap. Like, hey, make sure you build it and then you sell to customers, because they don't have the money to build it. Then, so that's the really fine-tuned gap that VCs.
That's a whole other world, right? Like that's entirely another conversation on how to pitch to the VCs, how to
Yeah.
kind of, because I'm sure that these VCs get a lot of pitches on a very
Every day.
regular basis, and they have to be very selective. They are also taking a risk. Like they're not sure that every investment is going to kind of product so many startups close and this thing. What was your thought process when you decided to make the pitch to the VC? Firstly, before that, how did you network enough to get a meeting in front of a VC to, you know?
So the first thing is I have a decent connections network here, so I know a lot of VCs here.
But
First,
what about if someone doesn't have those connections?
so that's hard. That's really hard. So the easiest way for them is just to go to accelerator programs. So they will bring the people, and then you can network with them. We at Middleware, we went through Y Combinator. Y Combinator is amazing accelerator programs. They have like over maybe like 10,000 VCs on the portals. Like it's called Bookface. They have a portal called Bookface. And then once you launch your startups into the public in Y Combinator, so they have on the website that you can launch it. Once you launch it, you will get hundreds of thousands of requests. Like hundreds of requests from the VCs to talk to you. I personally feel like Y Combinator is really competitive now. They get like 30,000 applications and they select only like 200, so it's become really hard. But then there is a lot of other accelerators that they should try it and then just enter it. My personal experience, my previous startups, I did not have network for my previous startup when I started. I tried YC for almost like 4 times. We didn't get in for 4 times. So we went to, there is another accelerator program called 500 Startups. So we went in that one, and that's where we built our own networks. It took 2 years, early 2 years. It take a lot of patience to build the networks. It took 2 years to build the networks, and then we raised the money. We could not raise the money for 2 years.
So now that you have gotten in front of the VC, right, and now you have the opportunity to pitch, you probably just have half an hour in front of them. What is that one crucial thing that matters to them, especially when it comes to?
Because we talk about really early now, right? Like really early means like you are really early into your company and building, and like we talk about like pre-seed or seed stage kind of company. For VC, is matter all about team. Who's the founder? What is their experience? Do they have experience on the building the same things somewhere else, or like they don't have any experience, and then somebody just came from fresh graduates and then trying to start doing something? That is like, I think, is matter the most. Idea doesn't matter that much, to be honest, because idea is always change, always pivot. You can change it, but then if team is good, then they can execute faster. They can change the idea, they can learn faster, they can do the things, right? But if team is not good, they will stick with bad idea for so long and burn all the cash.
Okay.
That is a crucial things.
That's a very interesting perspective. So the idea might be really brilliant, but but what if someone doesn't have any experience?
It's very hard to build it because if you don't have the experience, then you need to learn it. And then for the founders, they're always stubborn. I say like they're always stubborn. They always have a lot of egos, and then stubborn and ego is always come in between. Where like if somebody tell you to do certain things, and like, hey, dude, you're making mistakes. Don't do this. Do this. But then they're stubborn, they have ego, they were like, no, I will not gonna do that, and they will try it, they will fail it, and then they will come back and they'll say like, oh shit, I made the mistakes. Until then, 6 months pass, 9 months pass. So you waste for 6-9 months there as well.
How did you sell your idea for ML observability, cloud observability?
I mean, like the observability is already there in the market for like a decade, and I normally say like there was three different generations of observability in the market. First generation is like we say we were like on-prem, like a hosted version of the cloud. We all like had a hosted version inside our garage or office. We have our own like data center. Normally companies was using it, right? So that was like the Gen 1 of the observability. Gen 2 started around 2008, 2010, we say. And what happened that times, AWS of the world launch, like Azure launch, all of those things launched. So almost like 10 company came around 2010 in the observability. There wasn't observability, there was like a monitoring. Their focus was like monolith services, right? Monolith cloud, monolith applications and all of that. But then it started changing around 2018, 2019 when Kubernetes start getting more adoptions. And when Kubernetes get more adoptions, Kubernetes change whole the game for the observability. Because now you're not monolith. Now you're like horizontal scaling, vertical scaling. You're running the pod, you're running you're running like completely different environments. Then it's just observability start changing. So we fit in this third bucket, generation third of the observability. That was like where we were going and we were pitching the middleware there.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the differences between the
So the second gen, if you say the first gen, that was like a really old, that's gone kind of like things as well. We see like a Gen 2. Gen 2 is like a monolith service monitoring. It's like old way to do it. They charging like how they were charging a decade ago, right? And then a decade ago, we wasn't producing that much more data, right? If we say like 99% of the data that what we produce, it was in last 10 years. If you say 95% of the data in the whole internet that we produce in last like 5 years. So that means like we produce so much more data. If you produce so much more data and then send data to the observability stack, and I charge how I was charging 10 years ago, it doesn't match because it's become so expensive. So now you need to scale your technologies and you scale like how you debug the issue in Kubernetes, how you the help the dev and ops team so they can go and look at it and how to fix it. It's completely different inside the Kubernetes one than the monolith services. That's how we are different, that we are completely focused on the latest stacks. But then we are also powered by AI. So AI is help to find issues better because there is bigger issues is like false positive. So false positive is like normal observability stack is will send you 100 of notification a day. If they send you 100 of notification a day, out of 100 maybe 20, 30 is going to be like an actual one. The rest of like it's just like false positives. But then AI, it will just figure it out that this is false positive or this is the positive positives. That's like where we are making a huge difference in the market.
You said you're using AI to enable your cloud observability. I just wanted to touch upon it. What are some of the ways that AI enables cloud observability? You said you also do ML observability to an extent, right? Or mainly focus
mainly focus on cloud
observability.
Not focusing.
What are some of the use cases that are enabling cloud observability through AI and especially Gen AI, because that's a hot topic that everybody's talking.
I'm like, so Gen AI is a little bit early on inside the observability. There's a lot of things is happening there, but it's still pretty early. What we enabling is let's say we produce infrastructure is produced like hundreds of errors and hundreds of those things we send to the AI, and we tell AI like, hey, give me the actual issues or don't give me that like the false positive one, and then the AI will find actually and give it like actual issues so that we can give it to dev and ops team. Plus we learn from that and we trigger the engineering team or dev and ops team to proactively alert that, hey, inside your infrastructures, this might happen at this time. So please look at it beforehand. So proactively looking is like a biggest thing that what we're doing, and we're making a huge difference in the market in AI.
Fantastic. What is next? What is next in the next 1 year, next 5 years, next 10 years? How do you envision the growth for middleware? What are you aiming for? as the industry evolves, and it will keep evolving, especially in AI and data science, how do you keep adapt?
So we have 30 people there. We have our own office there. We don't use agency in between or something. We just our own office, like how we have office here. For next 1 year, it just our core focus is for go to market,
Yeah.
to acquiring more customers, and then scaling the team at the same time too. We're gonna be core like because our tech team, like most of our tech team is there, but we have some engineer here as well. Just like how we scale, we're gonna scale our team as well.
Fantastic. It has been a great pleasure talking to you. I think it's a very, I think I've always wondered, I've come here and I've been here for a while. The entire world of startups, raising money, scaling companies successfully, has really fascinated me. One last question to you is, when you raise money, right? How do you utilize it efficiently? What is the middleware strategy to utilize it efficiently? How do you allocate your resources
Yeah,
for the best ROI?
like the early on, when you raise the money, it's not your money, so you have to use very carefully, very carefully. You can't be a dumb shit like you're investing the money, or putting the money that you don't know like it's gonna be outcomes. So when we raise the money, our burn is not that much. Like we just keep a really fine burn. If I hire my whole engineering team here, my burn gonna go like $1 million a month or something. So that's one of the examples like how we efficiently use the money. So we just be very careful like what we're gonna do, and we always look at the outcome. Like, hey, what's gonna be outcome for this one? Even we go to conference and we have a booth there. Let's say what gonna be outcomes? It's gonna be feasible or not feasible? It's not our money. Hey, if it's customer paying it and we making money, then it's our money. But VC's money is not our money, so we need to be very careful how we use the money. So yeah, like you take care, you careful for every small step that you take.
Fantastic. On that note, all the very best for middleware. Thank you so much for talking to me. This conversation has been very insightful. It is a first-hand experience that I've got to live through this conversation. On how to build, come up with an idea, build and scale a team, and look at the future.
All right. Thank you,
so
man.
much.
Really appreciate that you came here, and yeah, catch up with you again some point.